So since 2019, I gained considerable weight. At one point, I even doubled my body weight. I have lost some weight since then, but I was asked if there were any challenges associated with that weight gain, and well, yeah, there were several. So many, so many, multiple, a lot. So I gained almost twice my body weight from 2019 through early this year, 2023. So this is what I looked like in 2019. And then this was me at the beginning of 2023. I just said almost doubled my body weight, and it was very uncomfortable, to say the least. And I was asked if I had any challenges associated with it. And yeah, there were a lot of challenges. I had some challenges directly related to my illness that happened at the end of 2021. I have some permanent paralysis and some other issues. And the weight gain is a combination, I think, of going through menopause and the medications that I've been on. I think part of the weight loss recently is because I'm not taking some of my medications currently. But that's a lot of weight to gain in a pretty short period of time. And I had weighed next to nothing my entire life. So it was a big change, huge change for me to go from being like a size 0 or double 0 forever, except, with pregnancies and stuff, to not being a size 0 or double 0. So I've tried to compile a list of all of the challenges that I have encountered while being considerably heavier than I was before. It's one of the most annoying, let's say, challenges that I've had to face, and that is wiping my butt. But truly, that has been one of the biggest challenges for me, trying to reach around back to that area when, my arms just weren't quite long enough. I don't know. I managed to do it somehow, but at first it was it was quite challenging. Fortunately, as I mentioned before, I have lost a little bit of the weight, so it's easier now. But yeah, so that okay. So another challenge that I faced was shaving my pits, because I used to have concave armpits, and I used to have to like kind of spread this so that I could shave, to pull the skin up and out of my pit. But now they just, they're puffy. They're puffy, convex. Yeah. So now it's easier to shave them. But because they're so puffy or roundy or whatever, I don't feel like I can't make the surface like flat to shave. For crying out loud, I could never really shave around my knees very successfully, and now, for all intents and purposes, I have knees where I used to have armpits. So yeah, that's kind of a challenge, being able to shave my armpits now. And so while we're on the topic of shaving, we may as well address shaving nether regions. It's a little difficult to manage that when there's a big old belly in your way. Trying to lift things so you can see things and spread, and anyway, there is that challenge. And then shaving my legs as well, because I'm bending over, I'm top heavy, trying to make sure I don't fall over. It's just a nightmare. So I guess I would say shaving in general has been quite a challenge. And of course, as I mentioned, I have lost some weight recently, so it is getting better. However, it was a challenge. Fortunately, one of the showers until I moved had things, that you could hold on to, bars inside. And so that made it a little bit easier, as well as like a built-in kind of seat, I guess. So it made it a little bit easier when it came to shave my legs to prop my leg up on there, but still the whole situation was precarious. You got water, weight, soap, and as I kind of touched on it just a little bit right there, it was really interesting to have it such that whenever you sat down that your tummy sat in your lap. So it or in my lap, my tummy sat in my lap and it gave me less of a lap to hold things or a place to put my leg if I wanted to, pull my leg up on my other leg. So that was a little strange. And going along with that, I couldn't just take my leg and throw it up there anymore like I used to be able to. Now, in order to get my leg up on my other leg, I required my hands to help me pick my leg up and put it up there. And trying to get my legs crossed, oh my gosh, that wasn't pretty. And it would just slide and press itself apart because my legs were so big. They had so much girth now, and yeah. And speaking of my legs, they were over it. My legs were pretty muscular, just generally speaking. When they were carrying around a little bit of weight, they were pretty good to go. However, when you nearly double your weight, that's a challenge. I mean, I would be walking around and my legs would be like, screw you, hippie. We're not taking you anywhere else unless you give us a break first. They just weren't having it. Not at all. Yeah, and while we're on the topic of legs, and just, I would get so out of breath, so tired, I'd have to stop. I couldn't like completely unload the car after getting groceries, for example, without having to take a couple of breaks along the way because I would just be so out of breath, and sweating like a pig, by the way, just profusely, just be so drenched. It just, I mean, just getting more tired quickly, getting out of breath, it's just such a pain, such a challenge. Like, I couldn't do anything anymore, just do it. It was always like, all right, I'll do a little bit, do a little bit more, and do a little bit more. Just, such pain, honestly. And speaking of unloading the car after getting groceries, it was a little difficult sometimes to carry things after gaining all that weight. It's quite a challenge because I used to be shaped more like this. I had hips that were kind of defined. I mean, I wasn't like voluptuous or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but I did have defined hips. And so if I carried something, I could, put it on my hip. Well, I no longer had defined hips. I just had bloop. So I couldn't really carry things on my bloop because if I tried to rest it on my bloop, what would happen oftentimes, depending on the weight of the thing, it would rest on my bloop and it would fold my bloop over onto itself, and I'd end up like getting a little pinch, a little bruise maybe. So couldn't do that. In addition, carrying things in front of myself. Well, I was no longer flat on the front of me. I now have this bloop. So I couldn't carry things as big as I used to be able to carry them because my arms didn't have the reach anymore. I mean, my arms still had the same amount of reach, but now there was part of that space was taken up by Bloop, and there was less room for the thing. So that was kind of a drag, I guess. And now, more challenges. It was kind of a challenge to maneuver myself around the bed. If I were laying down, I had all this weight that I'd have to try to shift or whatever. But on top of all of that, now my body was a mound instead of being more flat. So in all my moundiness, even laying on my side, I was a mound. So my girls, they would just migrate up to here. I mean, and just try to kill me, try to strangle me to death while I was, trying to sleep. So yeah, the girls just rested up here when I was laying down on my back, on my side. It didn't matter. They just wanted to kill me. And it caused me to snore. And of course, along with that comes the issue of waking yourself up in the middle of the night, because you'd be like sleeping and, not being able to breathe, all of that. So, yeah, the girls were kind of a nuisance. Getting in and out of my vehicle was difficult. In fact, it became so difficult that I had to trade my vehicle in. I had a 2023 Kia Sportage, and it was just high enough off of the ground that I struggled to get into it. I guess I could have gotten a little rope ladder or something. Probably would have broken that though. But anyway, seriously, I really did trade my car in because I could no longer manage to get in it. I just didn't have the arm strength. I didn't have the leg strength. In addition to that, when I'd be trying to step up into it and pull myself up, my stomach would get in the way, which it always did, especially if I bent over. And then that's another problem because I'm top heavy. I think I already mentioned that in the shower situation, but I just, and I couldn't bend over as far anymore because there was stuff in my way. So, I had some clothing challenges, obviously. I couldn't wear any of my clothes anymore, and I had to buy new clothes, and I really didn't have the money to do that or the desire to do that. I mean, and I don't mean this to be mean, but quite frankly, I don't like the way that I look in clothes anymore. I used to love to go and pick out outfits and just feel so cute when I got dressed, but now when I put clothes on, I just feel like a blob with clothes on it, or just material thrown over it. I don't find clothes flattering or cute anymore. And I mean, now I can't wear so I have too many pairs of shoes. I can wear most of my shoes, but when it comes to my boots, now that it's wintertime, I can't wear my boots anymore because my legs, my calves and stuff and ankles are so much bigger than they were when I bought my shoes. And I have a relatively, I guess, smaller foot in the first place, so that when I bought shoes in the past, they were probably smaller for my smaller legs. But so many of my boots I couldn't wear. I had to go buy new winter boots this year because I couldn't wear any of my 6 or 7 pairs of boots that I already had. I also found that I had to wear granny panties. That's right, I said it, granny panties. Which, gosh, I never thought I would do that in my life. But yeah, I had to wear granny panties because if I wore normal underwear, everything would hang over them and make them roll down. And speaking of rolling down, there my drawers are rolling down and my shirts are rolling up, and that's just a hot mess. I mean, clothing, just a nightmare for me. I can't really squat down in confined spaces anymore where I can't get leverage to stand up, or to get back up. Sometimes I need assistance because I don't have the strength in my legs to push myself up, without being able to, ugh, you know, ugh. So, and oh my gosh, because I'm so much wider than I used to be, I can't tell you how many times I've bumped my hips or my butt or whatever into things and ended up with big old bruises on myself because I'm not used to things being that close to my body. And all of a sudden, well, now my body's close to those things, closer to those things than they used to be. So that I find that if I don't turn my mattress, rotate my mattress on the rug, I end up with a really big dent. A really big dent in the bed, which makes it even harder to get out of bed because I'm trying to get out of a hole. Oh my God. So, well, that's a good time. I think it probably goes without saying, but for people who wouldn't think of things like this, I experience a lot more pain after sleeping. Like, like my hips, for example. I'll sleep on my side or whatever, and I'll wake up the next day and my hips will just hurt so much. And I think it's because of all that weight pressing down on them. Um, it sucks a lot. But that brings me also to my knees hurting a lot, my ankles hurting, my legs hurting, and my joints mostly, but all also muscular areas. Just because I weigh so much more and my body is not used to carrying the weight, having the weight pressing on those areas. I mean, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pain. I have a lot of pain that's related to my illness anyway. And then to have this on top of it, it's just, yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for sure. Maybe I should have mentioned this one when I was talking about getting in my vehicle. Going up steps or stairs is kind of a challenge. And I keep saying the word challenge, but that's what this video is about, right? Challenges. Anyway, um, yeah, I have to kind of will myself up, especially if there's the treads, if there's a lot of room between steps. I really have to or just I don't have the strength in my legs anymore. Well, I probably have the strength in my legs, but not for this much weight. So that's a good time. And then this thing, this isn't so much a challenge as it's just freaking annoying. I went to my gyno for a wellness checkup, as you do. And when I was leaving, I was in the elevator with a woman and her daughter who was pregnant. We were riding down in the elevator. And she said, "Oh, when are you expecting?" And I just smiled and said, "I'm not pregnant." Anyway, and then I went to Walmart one day and I was carrying my mom's dog. And there was a greeter there, a Walmart greeter. And he, I don't know, thought he was being funny or cute or whatever. And he said, "Oh, not only do you have to, carry your mom's dog, but you're carrying your baby too. Must be difficult being pregnant and carrying that dog." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not pregnant." "Oh, sure." I'm like, "I'm almost 60 years old. Come on. I'm not pregnant." So yeah, that was a little bit, shut up. Just shut up. Okay, I really don't like saying shut up, and I would never say that to him. And I didn't say it to him. I just kind of laughed it off, but just shut up. Um, and of course, there are the stairs. I don't get as many because I have lost weight, but the stairs and just the smirks and the giggles or whatever. By and large, I'm unaffected by it, but I could do without it, you know, because if I hear it, then I have to glare at you, and I don't really want to have to do that because in general, I'm a pretty mellow person. Don't make me glare at you, please. I'm just not as graceful anymore. My center of balance is off. My just overall distribution of weight, the way things shift when I walk. It's very strange. I am getting more used to it, but yeah, I'm not nearly as graceful as I used to be. Um, I can't run, I can't dance, I can't do any of the things that I used to enjoy. Again, part of that's probably because of my partial paralysis that I have, but I don't know if I could, if that were not a factor, if I could do those things anyway, for all of the reasons that I mentioned leading up to now. And a couple more things, but these aren't challenges. I just find them interesting that my sneezes are so much more bombastic now. Is that the right word? Just achoo. Yeah. And my laughs are jollier. Is that a thing? Is that like a Santa phenomenon? Phenomena? Phenomena? Phenomenon? Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I think that that pretty much covers just about everything that I can think of. Um, the challenges that I have faced by almost doubling my weight. So if you are someone who has gained a considerable amount of weight, or someone who's just gained a little bit of weight and you have faced any challenges that I haven't mentioned here, let me know about it in the comments. Or if you've experienced some of the things that I have mentioned, mention those in the comments for me and we can just commiserate. Anyway, yeah, let me know.